Call the meeting to order.
Progress.
We got to avoid it.
Can I have a motion on the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion on that? No. Can I make a vote? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Town manager's report.
So this is my report for the August 23rd to September 10th, but I wanted to share something with you, not that, that I got Friday from DuBois & King, and this was the American Council of Engineering Companies gave a grant award to DuBois & King in association with the Town of Brandon and SW Call for the engineering excellence on the project Brandon US 7 Segment 6. So this was a Zoom banquet that so just thought I'd share that with you guys. So back to the other stuff. For select board request, I had a video meeting with Representative Shaw and Jennifer Fitch of the Department of Buildings and General Services to discuss leasing options or transfer of the 132-acre parcel lot for a possible installation of a solar array. The next steps would be the state determine if they want to liquidate the property or entertain a long-term lease to the town, and also mention the possibility of subleasing and if it was viable. I have not heard anything back yet on that. Met with Stephanie Smith at Hazard Mitigation to discuss creating an application to obtain scoping funding for the replacement of the undersized bridge on North Street. This has been discussed since Tropical Storm Irene. We've looked at it multiple times, so we're going to get the scoping grant to move forward with that. Also had a discussion with Stephanie Smith at Hazard Mitigation about the new ARPA funding for property buyouts that were not eligible through traditional FEMA funding. I actually sent letters out last Friday to the remaining Newton Road residents that are eligible for ARPA funding, and hopefully we'll be moving forward with more buyouts. I did have a few folks respond to me today. It's nice, we sort of got notified before pretty much everybody on this, so it's kind of nice. You know, they appreciate what we're doing with our property buyouts. So more to come with that, and looking forward to doing that. We'll be sending out 30-day letters to all delinquent tax and sewer accounts. After this, the accounts will go to our attorney's office to start the next tax sale process. Had a meeting with Consolidated Communications to discuss downtown Wi-Fi options. We also discussed changing our services in all our town buildings. They're putting together a quote, and they will be meeting with us again to discuss the options. You've probably seen them in town too. They're on a build out right now of 24 miles in town of fiber, so that's pretty nice too. Rec news, successful return to team sports. Numbers are up as we have 144 kids playing soccer in grades pre-kindergarten through 6, flag football for grades 1st through 8th, 62 kids, and youth share for grades 4 through 8 has 18. Picked up table tennis for adults is starting again. Thursdays 6:30 right here in this room. At this time we're not requiring masks, but this is subject to change. Pick up basketball on Sundays at OV, 8 to 10 a.m. Masking is required in all RNESU buildings. Harvest Fest is a go for October 3rd, 1 p.m. start. The 2021 collaboration with Brandon Area Chamber, Brandon Free Public Library, Brandon Area Toy Project, and Nashville PTO will be the best yet, according to Bill Moore. Wagon rides and photography are back, along with pumpkin sales, stick people, and so much more. Mr. Moore has also submitted a letter of intent to apply for a VOREC grant for work to be done at Estabrook Park that includes moving the tennis court, a 3,900-foot ADA path, pump track, and skate park. Invitations to apply go out on September 27th, and he's asking to keep your fingers crossed. And that is all I have this evening.
Any questions for Dave from the board?
Yeah, I just have a couple little things. I'm curious if you have an approximate sense of how many letters you're sending out for delinquent sewer and tax. I'm just interested in whether it's a lot or a little.
I don't know yet, Tim. I can can get that number. It's pretty much the same every year. You know, we start with kind of a larger number. Usually this letter will knock a few down. We'll see some payment plans come in. We'll see some get paid. And it'll dwindle down to, you know, when we have a tax sale, the last few years it's been, you know, less than 6 that they go to tax sale. So the process is effective.
I'm curious about that.
Sure.
The other thing I had a quick question on, you mentioned perhaps a couple meetings ago that the plans to pave behind the Dunkin' Donuts property, and I've seen the stakes go up, and it seems like you're almost ready. And so I'm just wondering if you can give me a little update on when you expect that to happen.
We are definitely ready. Our contractor has been having the same problem as everyone else with retaining workers. So, and he's actually the same one that's been doing the storm retention pond work on Pearl Street and behind Cafe Provence here. So he's telling me that he's going to have it done before the pavers come to town, which is not too far away. So there's not a lot that needs to be done out there. Some conduit for wire for the lamp for the lights out there, and just some grading. So.
And then will it be an island of pavement in the back, or will it connect to the Route 7, and will there be a paved path through the
So not right now. We'll just have the parking area paved. We don't own the path. We just have a right of way that goes through there. So and I know that Midway's really trying to get things done there, and they're having another hard time with contractors as well. Just everybody's super busy and understaffed. So once they come through, then everything will be paved too. Once they build.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Anything from the public, the town manager?
And let me let Stephanie in here.
All right, we'll move on to public comment and participation. Anything from the board?
I just wanted to add that this weekend is, as part of the annual cornhole tournament
For the fire department.
for the fire department fundraiser. I believe they're advertising on Facebook mainly, so you know, to see a lot of people out there.
Anything from the public?
Yes, if you don't mind, Jim Emerson here with the Brandon Energy Committee. I just have 2 updates and actually 2 apologies. I'll start with the apology that I got some misinformation about the solar proposals that I've presented to you folks. I went to Samsung Sun Solar in Rutland, who have did the project on my house. They were very competitive, very forthright and upright people. But they gave me some information that isn't correct about the cost of these proposals. And I can, for the next meeting, I'll submit something more formal, but I wanted to just make sure you folks knew that I thought I got a confirmation of that information that, say, a 500 kilowatt system would cost about $1 million. And I thought I got a confirmation from this Lee Seddon, who's a consultant who is basically the appraiser of solar projects in the state, when he said, oh, they're about $1.70, $1.80 per kilowatt. And I said, well, that's close to $1 million. Come to find out, having talked to some more people, that it's $1.70 to $1.80 for a kilowatt DC. When we talk about a 500 kilowatt system, that's AC. So the AC translated to DC is like a 750 kilowatt system. So a 500 kilowatt AC is a 750 DC system. Multiply that by the $1.70, and you're talking about $1.25 million. So the information I gave you is, I went back to Samsung. He said, hey, because I'd heard from another contractor I talked to, that it was more like $1.70, maybe even a little touch more. Samsung said, well, we stand by our $1 million number. When I asked him that question, and I said, well, gee, someone else is telling me it's $1.70 a kilowatt. Oh, yeah, well, that's a good number. So they've been on both sides of the fence. So I apologize, I didn't have the wherewithal and the time frame I had to do more due diligence on that. And I'll have a more formal presentation about costs and so forth at your next meeting. The update I want to give you is Solar Fest. We We asked them a bunch of questions. We met with Bill Moore, Jack and I, and we got down to what are the questions we need answered so we can help move forward with that. Their interest in moving to Brandon, sent them those questions, and some suggestions. They said they spent their whole September 4th meeting with their board discussing moving to Brandon. And they are very interested in sounding quite intent to get here. So they are, most interested in the property at Vermont, that Vermont owns there behind the
state property behind the
State-
training school.
behind the training school. I hate to use that word, that's why I stumbled. It's not the training school.
Park Village.
Park Village, there you go.
Park Village is the right reference. And so hopefully we can make some headway with the state, which isn't a quick mover on such matters. But in the meantime, they want to come up, they want to look at other options, and so we'll be working with Bill to come up with some alternatives for them. My other apology is that I understand from some of my actions and involvement in the town is not, or in this environment hasn't been well received, hasn't been within the guidelines of what should be accomplished through our committee, in particular with reference to open meeting laws and some other procedural matters. And I apologize if I've offended any or stepped out of bounds. It was unwitting and I had no such intention. What I'd like to do is offer, Dave sent me some good information on town protocols for meetings and on the open meeting laws. Out of that message, I got the impulse to talk to the Secretary of State about some specific questions I had about open meeting laws. We got some great clarification on, especially the emailing between committee members. I would like to offer to the select board to present a draft of what I learned, well, a draft of how to, basically a training document for new committee members who can be, because I really didn't get any training whatsoever on what this job entails and how I should interact. So I'd like to offer to make a draft little 4-page training document on meeting protocols, the open meeting laws, and how to work with your mission in relation. And basically, I don't even know how this committee is supposed to relate to this select board, who's our quote boss or directors or whatever. The only thing I know is I'm supposed to give you folks a report every 6 months. I would like to flesh out what does that relationship need to be and what, how can it work most effectively. So if you're okay, or maybe you can pick it up at another meeting if you want.
I think that's what would be good, as long as when we have a full board.
Yeah, I'll just present a draft and you guys
Absolutely.
can tidy it up and make it more
Sure.
sane and sensible.
Very
Or what
good.
really works.
Yep.
And the other update I had was, what was the other update? I don't know. So for example, it has been suggested that we were, as a committee, intending to send out an article once a month to the Brandon Reporter. It suggested that we run these by this board. And so I'm presenting you with this article for your feedback in any way that you think is good. I have 2 copies somewhere. I thought I had 4 of these. Is it? No? Oh, well, I left it in my drawer. So be it. But I welcome your feedback and any input you would like me to have. And I meant to have one for Dave, and I apologize.
I'll get one after.
I struggle with my printer.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay.
Jim? Any questions or anything for Jim from the board at this time?
If I could just add, Tracy.
Sure.
I'm sure that the league has training
Oh.
for open meeting law. I mean, they do trainings, webinars, whatever, for anything else. I can certainly look into that. And I know you and I have had the conversations about open meeting law too. And I'm seeing it actually a little more with some other sort of subcommittees and committees really having almost too much chatter with email.
Yes.
And we've got to you know, kind of calm that down a bit. And I understand it's very easy, especially if it's trying to do like a, you know, who's available for what, when, and where type thing. But we're really, you know, when this thing, open meeting law first started out, we really focused on, I was in the town manager then, you know, the transparency and following of doing more things in a public forum like this, or, you know, if we needed to have a special meeting for whoever, whatever committee to get it warned, do it, just follow the process and invite the public to it, and then there's just no question whatsoever about what's going on. And that's the approach we've taken for quite a bit. But I'm gonna reach out to the league and see if there's, you know, they might even have a video on it that every committee could just watch for.
Yeah, what I was suggesting is this, like a 3 or 4 page thing that you'd have to each member, with new, you know, when you appoint a new committee member, that you'd have them read it and sign off that they understood it, or, and so it's a, you know, some sort of little training.
Well, that one that I gave you was actually, that was a newer, kind of like a little green book that I think.
Yeah, well,
I thought that one was a little more descriptive than the green book, which is kind of sort of open meeting law 101.
When I asked the questions of the Secretary of State, they were very good at coming back. I mean, for example, we were setting up a list of